room. Good evening. I am Tamara L. Had a little snafu there, had to run that countdown several times. So, good evening. I am Tamara L. And welcome back to another installation of Just Another Messenger, where we raise the situational urgency and the consciousness regarding today's current events. Now, America, we're at a crossroad here where we are at a pivotal point in society where we can no longer just ignore, hide, and escape the past, which tells our present circumstance as well as a prediction for our future. Now, therefore, on each episode of Just Another Messenger, what we're going to do is continue to dive deep into the historical past by examining the philosophies, legal systems, as well as political decisions that continues to influence our daily lives. Now, in a few short days, we're going to see those fireworks in the sky on July the 4th and those flags wave proudly. There's going to be a voice echoing through time. And who would that voice be? It's going to be asking a question America still hasn't answered. There's still a lingering question that America hasn't answered. Now, this question was asked by Frederick Douglass in 1852. Now, he stood before a nation celebrating its independence and asked, "What to the American slave is your 4th of July?" Now, today, we're going to revisit that question. And the answer just may shock you. So please join the conversation throughout the episode. Don't forget to hit the subscribe, share, and like button to be a part of more thought-provoking conversation in the future you wouldn't want to miss. I'm going to also put up our information of where you can keep in touch with us throughout our program here. So let me get that information up here. Like I said, you can visit us on YouTube at Just Another Messenger. We're also on X at JAM _404 podcast. And if you are someone you know would like to be a part of the show, please send a friendly email over to Just Another Messenger podcast at gmail.com. And as always, we would like to thank our donors and subscribers for their support throughout this podcast. We just started in October, so we are a very baby new alternative digital media outlet. So I would like to thank you in advance for your continuous support, your past support, present support, and your continuous support. And you can continue to do that via our Cash App at $ Just Another Messenger. Now, I'd like to give you also some good news that we have here. Now, we also started our new website at www.justanothermessenger.com. And on that website, we just created a landing page and about us page, as well as a contact page. And on that, it also have various links where you can go and access, our different social sites and feeds. You can keep up with that. So what we're going to do is just break out real quick before we get started. It's just going to be one of them days. We're back. Today it's just going to be one of them days. I just already feel it. I can feel it in the air. It's like there's so much going on. We know we had the verdict with Sean Diddy Combs regarding he was only of the 5 charges. He was only charged with the 2. We're not going to get into the weeds about that because we have more pressing issues to deal with on Just Another Messenger as we deal with this birthright issue. Who's who and what's what. So we're going to stay on task and we're going to deal with that. We're going to deal with that and we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started. But let me see who we have in the house today. We're kind of light today. I know it's a holiday that's coming up and a lot of people probably already started. Like I said, they probably already started the 4th of July celebration because they haven't heard this message. So let's see who we have here. No one has chimed in. I know we have people. I can't see who's over on my personal Facebook page because I haven't put up the monitoring for that as of yet. But I'm working on that. I am I've taken some time off of the corporate structure that I was under. So I'll be able to get some more things done. Hi, Gwendolyn. Thank you for tuning in. I see that you're on YouTube. So I tell some people, if you're on my personal YouTube, if you're on my personal Facebook page, hop over to YouTube. I can see your messages as you're communicating throughout the show. But like I said, please join the conversation throughout the episode. Yes. Hi, mommy. Yes. Speak your truth. Yes, yes, yes. Speak this truth. We're going to get into this. We're going to get into this information together because we're dissecting information here regarding this situation regarding birthright. So you've had an information up there for how to contact us. I'm going to go ahead and remove that from our board. And we're going to go ahead and get into our segment for today. I want to start off with a disclaimer. The views, opinions, and thoughts are the protective expression of Tamara L. for storytelling and educational purposes and does not provide statutory counseling for any United States color of law jurisdictional proceedings. But the information will help you along the way. All right. Now, let's get into this. Let's get into this evening. Who is Frederick Douglass? Frederick Douglass, and I underline Esquire. I don't know why it came across as a lowercase, but it's capital ESQ. And that ESQ is short for Esquire. And we're going to get into the understanding of that. As you can see, his childhood started in chains from 1818 to 1826. Now let's look at the birth name. His birth name was Frederick Augustus Washington, and we're gonna put a pin in that Washington Bailey, because you got to remember the surnames are always tied to the mother, and then they added on the father to patriarchy. He was born around February 1818 in Talbot County, Maryland, into slavery. You'll understand the connection that we're getting into that now. His mother was Harriet Bailey. She was an enslaved woman. All right. Now the father, they say unknown, but that's, we all know, likely a white man, possibly his enslaver. If I had to be a betting woman, I would say, yeah, that was his father, because of the moves that he was able to make. And with the lack of, as you can see, access to different scholarly knowledge, but the doors that was open for him. And I'm going to show you that. Now, he was separated early from, Douglass was taken from his mother at infancy and saw her only a few times before her death when he was around 7. Now, after 7, after his mother died, after his mother passed away at the age 7, at the age 8, he was taken back to his mother's original enslaver, which was the family of the Almond. And they were originally out of the Maryland area as well. Now, they were the ones who was able to raise him, because if you just go deep into the understanding, when people were sold off as property, chattel property, there was a bond on that. And we're going to get into that. There was a bond waged on that. So, which means if that bond wage has not been satisfied, and by the time this person is bringing in additional chattel properties from their womb, and just say that original debt has not been satisfied from the mother and she transitioned, that owner is entitled to that chattel property. That chattel property, they are entitled to the that inheritance from that chattel property goes back as the debt to that original owner, which was the mother. Now, he had no formal identity. Like most enslaved people, he had no accurate record of his birth date. And the reason why there were no accurate record of his birth date, because birth certificates were not established during that time period. During that time period, when live births occurred, the family would record the name in the Bible. They record the name in the first part of the Bible, and that was a record of the live birth during this process. Birth certificates did not exist. All right. Now let's look at that. I underscored Esquire for a reason. And the reason why we're doing that is because we're trying to unlock and understand this birthright citizenship argument that's going on. And we're gonna decode that through Frederick Douglass. Now, the definition of an esquire is a abbreviation of ESQ, and it is an honorific title traditionally established in British and American English. Now, in Britain, it was historically used to denote status just below a knighthood, but a ranking before a knight. All right. So he was below a knighthood. Now in the United States, and why is that important? That's I'm gonna show you why during his oration that he gave. Oration meaning a speech. I'm gonna show you why that is important. Why he was given this title of Esquire and why he had the ranking of that. And in the United States, it became associated with licensed attorneys. So when you see attorneys in this United States territorial jurisdiction, attorneys are associated still with the crown, which they are part of a membership called the bar, which the bar, the B period, it should be B period, A R period, but they have put the words together and they'll put all the capital together and took out the periods, because the B period, A period, R period stands for the British Accredited Registry, which is still underneath the Crown Parliament. So the attorneys, you do not have a license. There's no license to practice law within the United States jurisdiction. I'm going to say that again. There is no license being permission to practice law within the United States jurisdiction. They have what you call a bar, British Accredited Registry membership number, where they are adjudicating statute, codes, and ordinance, which are de facto. Write that down. Get your pen and paper out. We going in this evening. All right. So we popping out the fireworks now. Now, in modern American usage, Esquire is a professional title for practicing attorney, though in Douglas' case, it was honorary and symbolic, used as a mark of dignity, intellect, and legal acumen. Now, there's a difference between legal and lawful, not through bar certification. So, which means Douglas was not a member of the British Accredited Registry certification process. He was just an honorary Esquire. Why did they make him an honorary Esquire? We're going to go through that right now. Let's look at why was Douglas referred to as an Esquire. Although he was not formally trained or licensed as an attorney, Douglas became an expert in constitutional law and legal philosophy, especially on natural rights, citizenship, and justice. So Frederick Douglass became what you and I, who tune in to Just Another Message, autodidacts, self-learners, autodidacticians, self-learners. Yes. He advised President Abraham Lincoln, and later, now, how did he get access to the people such as Abraham Lincoln? We're going to show you how. And he later served in diplomatic posts, including U.S. Minister to Haiti. An unlearned man having this type of connection, but he's born of an enslaved woman, and you saying you don't know who his father is? Okay. All right. He advocated for legal reforms and interpreted the Constitution from a radical abolitionist standpoint, believing it to be an anti-slavery document. We're going to show you that in his speech. And he received honorary degrees, including from the University of Rochester. University of Rochester is one of the King colleges. Now, all this making this connection, it's making its way back. University of Rochester is one of the King colleges, which is under the charter of the King of England, King James. So that's, now you saying you don't know who his father is? All right. The title Esquire was often used to honor his legal intellect, as well as to give him the respect denied to Black men. That word wasn't used back then in legal circles at the time. All right. So why is that? Let's look at that. We status matter. Status matter. Keep that in mind. Write your notes down. Put down status matters. Okay. Now look at this. Look at this statement. Now, this statement has been taken out of content by the people who calls themselves Black, colored, African American. All right, Negro. They have taken this statement and applied it to themselves. And I'm going to show you how this oration that took place with Frederick Douglass when the nation was a 76-year-old nation, how this statement was not applicable to the people who were classified at that time as either, they probably was either colored or Negro. No. But that was probably the racial category at that time. All right. So this is a statement. What to the American slave is your 4th of July? Write that down. What to the American slave, underline slave, we're going to get into it, is your 4th of July? That's the question that has been taken out of mere content. And I'm going to pull this up for you. And then we're going to highlight this and we're going to get into what Frederick Douglass talked about. This was the oration, which means the announcement or the speech that was delivered in Corinthian Hall in Rochester, New York by Frederick Douglass on July the 5th, 1852. All right. And it was published by request. All right. So let's get into that. As you can see, it said, Frederick Douglass, Esquire, dear sir, the ladies of the Rochester Anti-Slavery Sewing Society desire me to return you their most sincere thanks for the eloquent and able address during the Corinthian Hall on the 5th of July, anticipate in speedy publication in pamphlet form. They request that you will furnish them with 100 copies for distribution. They were so impressed by this thing, right? And let's see how Frederick Douglass addressed them. You have to look at the words oration, speech. Mr. President, friends, and fellow citizens, he who could address this audience without a quelling sensation has stronger nerves than I have. I do not remember ever to have appeared as a speaker before any assembly more shrinkingly, nor with great distrust of my ability than I do this day. A feeling has creeped over me quite unfavorable to the exercise of my limited powers of speech. The task before me is one which requires much previous thought and study for its proper performance. I know that apologies of this sort are generally considered flat and unmeaning. I trust, however, that mine would not be so considered, which means I'm not apologizing for what I'm about to say. Should I seem at ease, my appearance would much misrepresent me. He said, I'm not comfortable doing this. The little experience I have had in addressing public meetings in country schoolhouses avails me nothing on the present occasion. The papers and the placards say that I am to deliver a 4th July oration speech. This certainly sounds large and out of the common way for me. It is true that I have often had the privilege to speak to this beautiful hall. He said, I done spoke to this hall, but not in the matter in this audience that I'm looking at. And to address many who now honor me with their presence. Y'all a different audience. Y'all are different skin folks. I'm used to my kin folks. But neither their family faces nor the perfect gait I think I have of Corinthian Hall seems to free me from embarrassment. I'm embarrassed to do this. The fact is, ladies and gentlemen, the distance between this platform and the slave plantation from which I escaped is considerable. And the difficulties to be overcome is getting from the latter to the former are by no means light. Like, I done came from hard times. Y'all don't know my past. And y'all want me to stand up here and give you a nice speech like I'm one of y'all, and I'm not one of you guys. He said that I am here today is to me a matter of astonishment as well as gratitude. You will not therefore be surprised if in it that I have to say, I advise no elaborate preparation, nor grace my speech with any high sounding exorbitum. With little experience and with less learning, I have been able to throw my thoughts hastily and imperfectly together, and trusting to your patient and generous indulgence, I will proceed to lay them before you. To this, for the purpose of this celebration, is the 4th of July. Yeah, well, y'all here to celebrate the 4th of July, but let's get into it. It is the birthday of your national independence and your political freedom. This to you is what the Passover, Easter, wait a minute, just like y'all celebrate 4th of July, y'all celebrate Easter, that's y'all stuff, was to the emancipated people of the God. It carries your mind back to the day and to the act of your great deliverance, and to the signs and to the wonders associated with that act and that day. This celebration also marks the beginning of another year of your national life and reminds you that the Republic of America is now 76 years young. Oh, young, that too. I am glad, fellow citizens, that your nation is so young. 76 years, though a good old age for a man, is but a mere speck in the life of a nation, which means there's standing nations that's way older than you guys. You guys are a baby. He said 80 years and 10 is the allotted time for individual man. But nations number their years by thousands. There's nations that are thousands of years older than your little baby nation. You're a baby. And it said, according to this fact, you are even now only in the beginning of your national career, still lingering in a period of childhood. I repeat, I am glad this is so. There is hope in the thoughts, and hope is much needed under the dark clouds which lower above the horizon. The eye of the reformer is met with anger flashes, portending disastrous times, but his heart may well beat lighter at the thought that America is young and that she is still in the impressionable stage of her existence. May he hope not that high lessons of wisdom, of justice, and of truth will yet give direction to her destiny. Were the nation older, the patriots' hearts may be sadder, and the reformers' brow heavier, which it is now, because the nation is currently, how old is this nation? Most people like to count as 1776 with the proclamation. For giggles' sakes, we'll just use that same number. For giggle's sakes, we'll just use that same number because we actually know it's 1783. So we'll just stick with 1776 because that's what they're using. So if that be so, if we stay with the proclamation of the shout to the king of 1776, this nation is currently 249 years old. I don't know where people get 400 from. We can dissect that down through another podcast. But for the day, we're going to say this nation is 249 years old from its shout, a proclamation of freedom, right? All right. It said there is constellation in the thought that America is young. Great streams are not easily turned from channels worn deep in the course of ages. They may sometimes rise in quiet and stately majesty and inundate the land, refreshing and fertilizing the earth with their mysterious properties. They may also rise in wrath and fury and bear away on their angry waves the accumulated wealth of years of toil and hardship. They, however, gradually flow back to the same old channel and flow as a scenery as ever. But while the river may not be turned aside, it may dry up and leave nothing behind but the withered branch and the unsightly rock to the howl in the abyss sweeping wind. The sad tale of departed glory, as with rivers, so with nation. He said, fellow citizens, I should not presume to dwell at length on the association that cluster about this day. The simple truth of it is that 76 years ago, the people of this country were British subjects. Did I read that again? The simple truth of it is that 76 years ago, the people of this country were British subjects. What are you saying, Frederick Douglass? The people who came over from British and settled their colonies, you were still under British rule. He said the style and the title of your sovereign people in which you now glory was not then born. You were under the British crown. Your fathers esteemed the English government as the home government and England as the fatherland. This home government you now, although a considerable distance from your home, did in the exercise of its parental progenitive imposed upon its colonial children such restraints. What does that sound like? What's happening now? Burdens and limitations as its mature judgment it deemed wise, right, and proper. But your fathers, who had not adopted the fashionable idea of this day of the infallibility of government and the absolute character of its acts, presume to defer from the home government in respect to the wisdom and the justice of some of those burdens and restraints. They went so far in its excitement as to pronounce their measures of government unjust, unreasonable, and oppressive, and altogether such as ought not to be quietly submitted to. Isn't that what the people of the today's government are doing? They are announcing their measures of the government as being unjust, unreasonable, and oppressive, such as the colonial subjects done to their government, the British Crown. He said, I scarcely need say, fellow citizen, that my opinion of those measures fully accords with that of your fathers. Such a declaration of agreement on my part would not be worth much to a body. It would certainly prove nothing as to what part I may have taken had I lived during the great controversy of 1776. To say now that America was right and England was wrong is exceedingly easy to say. So when people are shouting today that the indigenous are right and the U.S. corporation is wrong, isn't that the same cry? Everybody can say it. The bastard, not less than the noble brave, can flippantly descant on the tyranny of England towards the American colonies. It is fashionable to do so, but there was a time when to pronounce against England and in favor of the cause of the colonies tired men's souls. They who did so were accounted in their day plotters of mischief. Really? Agitators? Really? And rebels? Really? Dangerous men? To side with the right against the wrong, with the weak against the strong, and with the oppressed against the oppressor. Here lies the merit, and the one which of all others seems fashionable in our day. The cause of liberty may be stabbed by the men of glory in deeds of your fathers, but to proceed, this is what he said. You're doing the same thing that was done to your fathers. Yeah, you're doing the same exact thing now to the people of this land that was done to your fathers, the founding fathers, that England, the government, their fathers was doing to them. He said, but to proceed. Feeling themselves harshly and unjustly treated by the home government, your fathers, like men of honesty and men of spirit, earnestly sought redress. Isn't that what happened when you being unjust upon? You have a right to grievance, the First Amendment. You have a right to grievance and redress. You have a right to address your accuser of their harshness. They petitioned and they remonstrated, which means demonstrated. They did so in a decorative, respectful, and loyal manner. Their conduct was wholly unexceptionable. This, however, did not answer the purpose. They saw themselves treated with sovereign indifference, coldness, and scorn. Doesn't that sound like today? Yet they persevered. They were not the men to look back. As the sheet anchors takes a firmer hold when the ship is tossed by the storm, so that the cause of your fathers grow stronger, as is breasted the chilling blast of kindly displeasure. The greatest and the best of British statements admitted its justice, and the loftiest eloquence of the British Senate came to its support. But with that blindness, which seems to be unwavering characteristic of tyrants, since Pharaoh and his host was drowned in the Red Sea, the British government persisted in an exaction explained of. The madness of this course, we believe, is admitted now, even by England, but we fear the lesson is wholly lost on our present rulers. Oh, you don't feel the weight of what you're doing. You don't feel that you have become like your father. Oppression makes a wise man mad. Your fathers were wise men, and if they did not go mad, they became resistive under this treatment. They felt themselves the victim of grievous wrongs, wholly incurable in their colonial capacity. When brave men, there is always a remedy for oppression. With brave men, there's always a remedy for oppression. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back, front, our melanated people. With brave men, there is always a remedy for oppression. Just here, the ideal of a total separation of the colonies from the crown was born. That's the remedy. The total separation of the colonies from the crown was born. A total separation of the indigenous people from the United States jurisdiction must be born. It was a startling idea, much more so that we at this distance of time regarded the timid and the prudent, as has been intimate of that day, were of course shocked and alarmed by it. Such people lived then, had lived before, and will probably ever have a place on this planet, and their course in respect to any great change, no matter how great the good to be attained or the wrong to be redressed by it, may be calculated with as much precision as can be the course of the stars. They hate all changes, but silver, gold, and copper changes. They hate all the changes except the money. Except the money. Of this sort of change, they are always strongly in favor of. They are always strong in favor of taking people natural resource. They always in favor of wars to usurp the resources of the land. Really? These people were called Tories in the days of your fathers, and the appellation mean name, probably conveyed the same idea that it meant by a mere modern, though a somewhat less efficacious term, which we often find in our papers applied to some of our old politicians. Their oppositions to the then dangerous thought was earnest and powerful, but amid all their terror and their affright, vicariously against it, the alarming and revolutionary idea moved on, and the country with it. He said it on the 2nd of July, 1776, the old Continental Congress. He was, this is a read. I mean, this is a read. Frederick Douglass was straight reading this crowd. He said, and let me tell you what happened on the 2nd of July, 1776. He said, the old Continental Congress, to the dismay of the lovers of ease and the worship of property, clothed that dreadful idea with all the authority of national sanction. Oh, that's their proclamation. They did so in the form of a resolution. And as we seldom hit upon resolutions drawn upon in our day, whose transparency is at all equal to this, it may refresh your mind and help my story if I read it. And he said, resolve that these united colonists are and are of right, ought to be free and independent states. He said, and they are absolved from all allegiance to the British crown, and that all political connections between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be dissolved. He said, let me refresh your mind what you wrote in your resolution. This is what you wrote in your resolution. He said, so citizens, your fathers made good that resolution. They succeeded, and today you reap the fruits of their success. The freedom gained in yours and you. He said the freedom gained in yours and you. He wasn't talking about the melanated people, the bondage people. He said the freedom gained in yours and you. You remember he established who he was talking to. Therefore, my properly celebrate this anniversary. The 4th of July is the first great fact in your nation's history, the very ring bolt in the chain of your yet undeveloped destiny. Mm-hmm. So it was already said who he was talking to. Now let's go and let's analyze this. Let's stop this sharing. Let's analyze this further, who he was really talking to. Let's analyze the etymology of the word slave. And it's entrenched. Esclave, masculine and feminine. The noun Slav, slave, is from medieval Latin, sclavis, feminine, sclavla. This Latin noun is identical with the name Sclavus, meaning a Slav. The Slav, who's a Slav? Who is a Slav, Tamara? It is the Slavic population in parts of Central Europe, having been reduced to a servile condition by the Germanic conquest. Now we're going to look at the wording of that. Slav, S-L-A-V. Now, when you're looking at language, when you have the two dots over the A, Slav, just roll your tongue. It makes that A long A. Slav. And you have the two dots over the A. All right. It said the medieval Latin name corresponds to late Greek. Scalabus. These Latin and Greek names are rendering of a common Slavic self-designation with the base Sloven, mean a Slav. We're going to get this right. We're going to understand who's who and what's what. A Slavic population in parts of Central Europe having been reduced to a servile condition by the Germanic conquest. Shall we continue? Let's look at the etymology of slave. You remove the dots from the top of the A and add an E. It makes slave. Now the word changes as it changed in the language label. In the sense of slave, German has retained the cluster ska of the Middle Latin name Sclav, feminine, Sklalin, while Skla, feminine, Slaven, means Slav. In English, the reduction of the SCL to the SL is normal, and the other Germanic language show the following forms corresponding to slave, which is in Dutch, Slav, Danish and Norwegian, slave, Swedish, Slav. We're talking about Germanic language. We're talking about dramatic language here. All right. This classical Latin name for slave was servus, apparently from a root meaning heavy and burdensome. You're not slave people or Slav, my Aboriginal people, my melanated people, colored copper people. You're not a Slav nor a slave. These are your Slavs and your slaves. This is your Slav and your slave. This is who Frederick Douglass was giving a speech to. This is what he said. This is why you celebrate. This is your 4th of July. This is why it means so much to you. This is why the 4th of July means so much to you, because the unjust treatment of your king, you fought for that. And you won that by right. You won your freedom and liberty away from an unjust king. These were your Slavs and your slaves. Now, who were we? What classification did we have in this grand scheme of things? What were the people that were all the copper colored indigenous, autochthonous people of the land? What was our category? What was our status? We were nations, but what were we reduced to during this time? What were we reduced to during this time? Let's look at that. We was reduced to bondsmen. All right. How you know, Tamara? Let me show you who. When Frederick Douglass started talking to the people and showing who's who and what's what. Let me see. Let me get here. Yes, I'm sorry. I should have jumped there before I got here. Let me see. All right, here we go. I'm going to go here. It is right here. He said, now I'm going to start. He said, I'm going to start here when we start back talking about fellow citizens. He said, fellow citizens, above your national tumultuous joy, I hear the mournful wail of millions. He's talking about the people on the plantations, whose chains, heavy and grievous yesterday, are today rendered more intolerable by the jubilee shouts that reach them. They hear you enjoying the liberty. They hear you enjoying the freedom. And it's making their chains heavy with uncomfort. They're not comfortable because they hear all this joy. He said, if I do not faithfully remember these bleeding children of sorrow this day, may my right hand forget her cunning, and may my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth. To forget them, to pass lightly over their wrongs, and to chime in with the popular theme would be treason most scandalous and shocking, and would make me a reproach before God and the world. You're making me a liar. My subject, then, fellow citizen, is American slavery. That was the title of his speech, American slavery. Can you imagine inviting someone to give an oration and a speech, and you think because he comes by way of he's a child of a slave owner that nobody want to talk about, but he's born of an enslaved woman, that he has so much allegiance to the oppressor? No. He said, my subject, then, fellow citizen, is American slavery. I should see this day and its popular characteristic from the slave's point of view. Now, this is where the mixing of the words standing in. He says, standing, they're identified with the American. He says, standing, they are identified with the American bondman. So he was talking, he had an audience of slaves, and he said, the American bondman making his wrong mind. Let's look and see who are the bondmen. Let's look and see who they are. Bondman, bond, adjective, circle, what is that, 1300s? In a state of a serf, unfree from bond. Now, tenant, you own the land. Tenant, farmer, holding land under a lord in return for customary service. You ought to keep out. You ought to own the land. It's an innocent synonymous with a married bond as head of a household. You are the bondman. You are the freeman. But we have you under subjugation, colonization, usurpation. The old English word for banda, husbandman, householder. But the Middle English word probably is from Old North banda, a contraction, occupier and tiller of the soil, peasant, husband, a noun from the past participle of bua, to dwell, bondman, in your land, holding land. You are the bond. You are in bondage. You are the bond man. Man, Old English, man, human being. You are the bond man. Let's put it together. You are the bond man. Farmer holding, human being, male or female. Servant, brave man, hero, also servant, vassal, adult, male considered as under the control of another person. You're the bondman. You're under bondage. You are the American bondman, the freedman, the bondage, the bondman. So I'm going to show you how this Emancipation Proclamation was not talking about you. It did not free you first because you're not a slave. Dodge the hide. You have to know what the words mean. You have to know what the words mean. It's not talking about you. It's not talking about you, people. It's not talking about you. Let's look at this share screen. Let's go here and show you why I wasn't talking about you. What does it say here? What does it say here? And by virtue, we're going to skip all the way down here. This is the Emancipation Proclamation of 1863. We're going to skip here all the way down. We're saying, and by virtue of the power and for the purpose, aforesaid, I do order and declare that all persons held as slaves. You're not a slave. They had to get the slaves free first because they were subjects. They were still subjects of the British Crown. The indentured servants that had traveled here, they were slaves in the United States jurisdiction. But they were subjects from the British Crown because they came through indentured servitude. They came through contract. So they had to free them from the indentured servitude contract of the Crown. And by virtue of the power and for the purpose aforesaid, I do hereby declare that all persons held as slaves within and said designated states and parts of the states are and henceforth shall be free. They had to free the slaves first. All right, but Juneteenth is ours. We're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep knowing who's who and what's what. What did he say here? What did they say? Are you still bond or are you free? Look at the general order. But we celebrate Juneteenth. Now I went to a wonderful event this Saturday with last Saturday with Crom of Crom TV and Minister Information Chef Jacoby Ponder. Great, wonderful, called The Big Lie. And I've never seen this document before. I knew I was going to be talking about the 4th of July coming up, but this helps solidify the last point that I'm going to make. Are you still bond or are you free? General order number three. People use this as a precursor to say you was delivered from slavery, but you're not a slave. Your status was never a slave, a Slav. On June 19th, 1865, it said let's dissect this. It said the people of Texas are informed that in accordance with a proclamation, that means announcement from the executive of the United States, which at that time was Abraham Lincoln, all slaves are free. So the people are just getting the messages in Texas, in that territory, in that military zone of Texas. They're just getting they're free the white people out there, free the Slavs out there. But they give you a picture that it was us. No. It said this involves an absolute equity of personal rights and rights of property. Whoa, wait a minute. So the general was saying, let me tell you what this contract is about. This involves an absolute equity of personal rights and rights of property between former master and slaves. And the connection heretofore existing between them becomes that employer and hired labor. Emancipation transfer. Your master become your employer. That's for the Slavs. And check this out. The freedmen, that's you. The freedmen, the bondman that own the land. The freedmen are advised to remain quietly at their present homes and continue to work for wages. You always been free. You just forgot. You forgot your status. You've been tricked into the status to thinking you're a slave, a Slav. So this argument about birthright citizenship ain't about you. You're home, Dorothy. You're home. They are informed that they would not be allowed to collect a military post mean taxes, and that they would not be supported in idleness either there or elsewhere else. Okay, so you out there, you ain't working, you don't work, don't eat. We don't have any social programs. Are you still bond or are you free? Are you still on the bondage or are you free? This is a twofold question. And it's a twofold answer. And it all deals with the individual mindset on one end and a political status on another end. Because your status is wrong. You done traded places. Keep calling yourself a slave. You keep saying that you are by way of Africa. Don't have proof. Just a story somebody told you. Don't have proof of lineage out of Africa. Don't have one proof. So they said, let them keep saying that. That's why your status wrong. That's why we don't have to give you your land back. That's why we don't have to entertain reparations. That's why we don't have to entertain restoration. That's why we can continue to pretend to be a government, your government. because you don't know who you are. And we can't leave this place and interact them. Write it down. We can't relinquish government and interact them because these people don't know how to govern themselves. It'll be chaos, man. It'll be a madhouse around this. Baby all flying everywhere. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it'll just be horrible. Yeah. So that's why this made sense. hmm My skin is black. The story, OJ. Light ninja, dark ninja, faux ninja, real ninja, rich ninja, poor ninja. You can be a house ninja or a field ninja. And if you gonna stay in that status, they're gonna look at you as still a ninja. You're gonna stop playing with your status. You're gonna stop playing with your status and lowering your vibrations. And this is your call to action. Restore your new nation. Restore your nation. Because look what's going on today. Crime, racism, bombing, brutality, riots, wars, rumors of wars. That's how you stop being a ninja. Restoration of your status of who you are. Take your rightful place upon man. Nation to nation government. I hope this information helped you look at the 4th of July as a great warning and ask yourself, freedom for whom? I hope it allowed you to search your hearts and stir up your ancestral memory and recall who you are. I hope this 4th of July puts you in a position of announcing your royalty moving forward and let your ancestor guide you. I hope this 4th of July speaks liberation in life into your children. So if you're going to celebrate anything, celebrate the future liberation because you're rising up like a phoenix from the ashes. Celebrate that. Until then, now available, Sacred Selfishness, The Art of Loving Without Losing Yourself, plus Life Little Lessons, the workbook journal companion. You can find that, as well as this book is very important, The Living Word, A Journey into Etymology and the Map of the Mouth. This is how you read old texts. This is how you dissect the word. This is how you understand the living word is not just a study of etymology. It is a relation to liberation. This transformative journey takes you from the earliest utterance shaped by the mouth to the spiritual and political power of names, slang, and forgotten tongues. With chapters spanning from ancient root language to modern internet slang, colonized speech to sacred mantra, this book reconnects language to the body, the soul, and the struggle for the truth. You can find all these books on ebook at stand.store/Providence Press. Or if you forget that, just go over to www.justanothermessage.com and you can click on books and merch, and it'll take you there to purchase these ebooks. There's been a backlog delay with the printing company. I guess the holidays they had time period off. Yeah, so I am going to publish the link on Monday. I don't like to just collect finances and there's a delay with getting your product. But after speaking with the company today, they're going to be resuming editing as well as getting orders out by Monday. So I feel more comfortable putting the link up. That's just me. Some people like, oh, do pre-sale. No, I'm not holding on to people's funds and I don't have their products to send out. That's just me. But I feel more comfortable Monday putting the link up for the hard book. Yes, yes, Malik Day. I feel more comfortable Monday doing that because I know the company will be back. I know the holidays and short staff and things like that. I will be more comfortable putting that up on Monday, and I will do that. So I thank you for this evening. Continue to tune in every Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Like I said, we're not monetizing on YouTube. Please support the channel. We are growing. I'm excited about the organic growth that is taking place. You can do that via our Cash App at $ just another messenger. Also, if you forget $ just another messenger and you remember just the name just another messenger, you can go over to our website at justanothermessenger.com and click on donate, and it will take you to our Cash App link. Also, if you or someone you know would like to be a part of the show, send a friendly email to justanothermessengerpodcast@gmail.com. And again, thank you for tuning in, and I bid you a farewell and liberation. Here we come. Good evening.